Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is AES and welcome to my YouTube channel. My opinion about the Resident Evil franchise has always been met with a raised eyebrow due to confusion or laughter because of its controversial stance. Prior to playing the game on deck for today's review, I only completed Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5, and Resident Evil 7. The game you may think will be my favorite of the three is actually in last place, and vice versa. I also took a crack at Resident Evil 2 Remake, but I will save the explanation for my critique of the game, which will come at a later date. As the last played mainstream title, Resident Evil 7 did a phenomenal job with its scary atmosphere, memorable antagonists, and great use of sound design. While Resident Evil Village is not as terrifying as its predecessor, it borrows elements from Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 4 through 7 to create an experience that, in my opinion, surpasses every game that I played this year. At times, it is nightmare-inducing. At other times, it is action-oriented and utterly over the top. After 8 playthroughs and earning 95% of the PlayStation trophies, I can honestly say that Resident Evil Village is not only my current game of the year, but it is, beyond a shadow of a doubt, my favorite Resident Evil title at this point in time. What are my detailed thoughts about the game? Time to find out. Without further ado, let's review Resident Evil Village, which was released this year and for review purposes was played on the PlayStation 5. Before we begin, I would like to mention that there will be some spoilers during the story discussion of my critique. I will warn you when we dive into the ins and outs of the narrative, but I figured you should be aware of it. Let's begin. Visual and audio design. In terms of presentation, Resident Evil Village is absolutely stellar. We will start with the audio. The noise of crows in the background as you walk into a seemingly empty village, the growling of the Lycans who are coming after your blood, and the soundtrack are all suspenseful. The exception to the rule is a small section during the third act, which I could have sworn I heard it from a certain movie. In addition to the use of music, the sound effects on the weapons feel incredibly powerful, and each shot gives you the impression that it will be the end of the monster's life. The last component revolves around the voice performances, and for the most part, they are great. Lady Dimitrescu is seductive yet menacing at the same time.
Oh, be careful what you wish for, Ethan Winters.
Mia Winters and Chris Redfield evoke more emotion than they were showcased in Resident Evil 7. Ethan is the biggest surprise, albeit not the best performer in the game. That award goes to Neil Newbon, who plays Heisenberg, and he's absolutely incredible.
You must be pretty tough, huh?
Who the fuck are you?
Oh, you're not local. Even better.
When it comes to the main protagonist, he still has his moments of monotone line delivery. Nevertheless, he illustrates a sense of fear that was not truly present in the previous Resident Evil game. His performance during the third part of the game is exceptional. You will have to play through that portion of the game to know what I mean. Visually, Resident Evil Village is also very good. I played the game with enabled ray tracing, and the power of the PlayStation 5 literally shines with fantastic lighting effects. The character models look great as well, and the environments are varied with semi-open world designs. The castle in particular is rather stunning, with beaming chandeliers, gorgeous paintings of the inhabitants, and underground mazes. There have been a few moments during my playthroughs where I experienced low textures from the grass or crumbled buildings, but my overall experience with Village's audio and visual designs was nothing short of impressive. Story. You play as the protagonist from Resident Evil 7, Ethan Winters. At the beginning of the game, you are confronted by Chris Redfield, who takes away your child. You are knocked out and suddenly you wake up in this random European village. with no idea of how or why you arrived there. At that moment, your main objective is to rescue your baby. It is a short summary of the tale, but it is how much I'm willing to disclose without covering spoilers. At this point, I'm going to shift gears and talk about plot spoilers. If you do not want to be spoiled, please jump to the timestamp on screen. I will talk about what transpires and more specifically, what happens in the third act of the game. Again, skip to the timestamp if you do not want to be spoiled. You have been warned. Let's go. In addition to Ethan's baby being taken away in the beginning, Mia is also killed. Towards the latter part of Resident Evil Village, you find out that Mia is still alive and Mother Miranda, the leader of villains like Lady Dimitrescu and Heisenberg, pretended to be Mia with the intention of kidnapping Ethan's daughter. You also find out that Ethan has been dead since the early portion of Resident Evil 7 and became a mold-infected creature, which explains how he was able to get his hand chopped off and simply reattach it with force. These revelations took me by surprise. The former exonerated Chris from the actions of his initial appearance and added to the element of suspense from the big antagonist, since she can shapeshift to look like anyone. The latter provides some relief, since Mother Miranda supposedly killed Ethan by stabbing him and removing his heart. Ethan does indeed die in the end, but the initial murder was backtracked. Despite some cringy lines that are sprinkled throughout the plot, the narrative here was enjoyable. There is an end credit scene which shows Rose, Ethan's daughter, visiting his grave as a fully grown adult. Based on our conversations with an agent, she possesses unforeseen powers. If true and followed up by Resident Evil 9, the next mainstream title can be quite a departure from the traditional survivor horror gameplay. As a whole, I really like the narrative in Resident Evil Village. It does not have the complexity of Alan Wake or the characters from The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, but the fantasy tale here is much more than serviceable. Gameplay. Imagine that you go to the amusement park this weekend. What can you expect? Well, there is a roller coaster, there is a haunted house, there is that machine where you hit a button with a hammer and it measures your strength, and there is a station where you use your gun to shoot moving targets and you win a prize if you hit enough marks. Each form of entertainment offers a different experience. In some ways, Resident Evil Village acts like that metaphorical trip. You start in the village and as time goes by, you can tell when Ethan Winters moves on to the next station on the park. When you transition from the first boss fight to the next, you will notice a clear change of gameplay mechanics and goals of overcoming your foe. I appreciated the every so often switch, but again, it may give you the impression that you are taking a ride in a theme park. The actual gameplay mostly resembles Resident Evil 7. You are playing in a first-person view while looking for supplies, taking in some frights, and killing zombified enemies. Thankfully, there are a few enhancements to the previous title's gameplay, and they are great. First, the world feels more like an open environment than any other Resident Evil game I played, which invites the players to explore the numerous stages, locate items, and discover treasures. Secondly, the enemy variety has increased from Ethan's first adventure. You have the typical goons, but then you also have the fast lycans and flying vampire-like creatures, as well as mini-bosses and main bosses. Thirdly, you can use your currency and hunted animals to upgrade your weaponry and receive permanent boosts to your health, defense, and speed. Lastly, you can now craft ammunition, pieces of equipment, and sources of healing. All of these improvements are cool and play a role in my favoritism towards Resident Evil Village. Unfortunately, they also contribute to the main problem with the game. It is too forgiving. Let me explain. Unless you play on hardcore or the Village of Shadows difficulty settings, you will often encounter situations where you have too much ammunition. I completed multiple playthroughs, the first of which was on casual difficulty because I want to sit back and enjoy the world that Capcom and Village's designers have created. When you beat the game, you are told that challenges and a New Game Plus feature are available to you. The former are cool and diverse, ranging from beating the game in under 3 hours to having exactly 777, 7,777, or 77,777 of the game's currency on you at a given moment. If you complete a challenge, you will earn challenge points, which can be used to not only buy another mode that will be discussed later, but also purchase figurines, concept arts, other weapons, and infinite ammo for a given weapon. The latter assumes that you collected all of the weapons attachments and fully upgraded the arm in question. The combination of ammo abundance and the infinite ammo cheats lead to a substantial decrease of tension. Equipping the stake handgun and infinite ammo essentially one-shots everything minus the bosses. Going through Village of Shadows with the same gun layout still has moments of enormous concern, but I managed to complete the mode plus a speedrun trophy in the first attempt. If you are worried about the lack of difficulty in this game, you may want to check out the unlocked Mercenary mode. It is a mode that was first featured in Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, and it is basically a series of short horde-like gauntlets, where you buy weapons and upgrades, go into a room, try to kill everyone quickly and efficiently, and escape. You cannot use the infinite ammo cheats here, so your ability to complete each of the 8 stages and receive a higher ranking will correlate to your skill. It is a nice add-on mode to Village's story and can extend your time with the game. There is also the free RE-verse mode, but I could not play it for this review, as it will only become available in the summer. Excluding the tenseless nature of gathering resources in the game and the incorporated cheats, the core gameplay of Resident Evil Village was awesome and had much needed differences between each section of the game. Trophy and achievement impressions. If you are content with utilizing the infinite ammo cheats, the majority of the trophies and achievements in Resident Evil Village are rather straightforward. You have the traditional difficulty-based challenges, with Village of Shadows incorporating additional enemies, further health to bosses, and mixed groups of enemies in a few scenarios. If you are able to beat the game on the highest difficulty, then you are left with a few miscellaneous trophies, such as killing 5 crows in the air and breaking every breakable window in the main castle. Finally, there are 2 trophies that are related to the Mercenary mode, which are indeed skill dependent and disable any infinite ammo cheats. As long as you can earn the Mercenary based trophies, you will have a clear path to the Platinum Trophy or 100% of the achievements. Fun factor: I've not had this much fun with any other Resident Evil title. The combination of different gameplay moments, in addition to addicting challenges and a decent Mercenary mode, encouraged me to spend more than 15 hours with the game. Keep in mind that the campaign took me 7 hours to beat during my first attempt. I wish that the extra score-based mode allowed you to play with other players, but I enjoyed Resident Evil Village as a horror experience, an action experience, and most importantly, a gaming experience. When should you pick it up? With options being day 1, sale, rental, or never. The answer to this question highly depends on how much you want to put into this game. If you believe that you will play the story in Mercenary mode once and never touch the title again, I would pick Resident Evil Village at a deep sale of around $20. If you're going to try the various challenges, invest time in the Mercenary mode, or you need a horror fix before the other AAA titles in the genre are released, I would certainly recommend the latest mainstream game in the franchise at full price. In the end, Resident Evil Village is my perfect blend of what makes the franchise compelling and wacky to me. The Mr. X chases from Resident Evil 2 Remake, the village environment from Resident Evil 4, the type of plot twist from Resident Evil 5, the action sequences from Resident Evil 6, and the eerie sceneries from Resident Evil 7, all of which create an excellent entry in the franchise and one which leads to what could quite possibly be the most ambitious Resident Evil game with Resident Evil 9. The latest mainstream title will irk fans of the series with its mixture of various gameplay mechanics and a sense that you might be playing a set of haunted house attractions. As far as I'm concerned, I think that the completion of 8 playthroughs should be enough proof when it comes to my thoughts of the title. I will give Resident Evil Village from 2021 a 10 out of 10. Well folks, that's the end of the review. Thank you very much for checking out this video. What are your thoughts about Resident Evil Village? Have you played it? Are you going to pick it up? Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Till next time, have a great day or evening wherever you are. My name is AES, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.